highest number of people that go through that Saharan route as whatever you call them, people that are running away, human traffickers help them. The highest number of the people that have been caught in Libya and arrested and sold into slavery. Something that had never happened in previous years. They're Nigerians. And this is our experience, sir. Our people are going out of the country, running away from trauma, economic deprivation, slaughter, mass murder, ethnic cleansing, and so on and so forth. They're looking for greener pastures because nothing is working here and nothing has been working for the last 4-5 years. That is the challenge that we have. Now, that is emigration, going out. Let's talk about internal migration. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the most serious challenge that we have. It is the most serious challenge that we have. And I want you to really think about this because this is the bitter truth I'm about to tell you. Ruga was not just about cattle. Ruga was about creeping into a community in the name of cattle herding and settling there, and then establishing yourself in that place, and then claiming land rights, and then mingling with the local people, and then eventually you say you want your own Seriki, then you will say you want your own Emir, then you will say you have a right to rule the place, and so on and so forth. Internal migration or even external migration should never be at the expense of ethnic nationalism. And I'll tell you this much. Globalism has its benefits. Full integration has its benefits. But Mr. President, sir, Mr. Chairman, I have to tell you that I am a nationalist. I am a nationalist. And I don't believe it's a dirty word. I don't think there's anything wrong with me saying that I, for example, if I were from here, that I am an Igbo man before being a Nigerian. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with me saying that I am an Anago before being a Nigerian. And I resent the fact that somehow I'm being told that I must only say that which is politically correct. We are under siege today throughout this country. The South is under siege. The Middle Belt has already virtually been captured. And the agenda is to do what Saudana and all of them said they would do many, many years ago. And we're seeing it before our very eyes. Now, having said all that, I have to say this. There is still a possibility for us to make this work. But everybody has to first acknowledge what the challenges and the problems are. I am astounded that African leaders, people from outside this country that lead countries, like for example, Ghana, for example, who was my in-law, was married to my sister, Nana Akufo, a brilliant man, was at Oxford. And he will be coming here seeing President Buhari and not tell him the bitter truth about what's going on to our people in this country. And it goes on and on. Now, I'm ending this in a moment. Let me just say something that is very painful to us. Not too long ago, the daughter of the leader of Femi Fani, and of course Femi Fani is the heart of Anagola. It's the heart of Ududua. Our elders, our leaders. It's an ephemeral concept. It's not something you elect anybody to do. These are our elders. This is the soul of the Southwest. We may not always agree, but these are men tried and tested over the years. Great men who have stood against tyranny. Many of them were killed. Many of them incarcerated. That's Femi Fani for you. And Femi Fani's leader, Baba Fasoroti, his daughter was slaughtered. His daughter was killed. Right in the streets of the Southwest by the usual suspects. And that is just one. Many are being slaughtered. I commend the efforts of the leaders of the Southeast. I commend the efforts of Ohaneze. I commend the efforts of the governors of the Southeast, particularly governors. I commend the efforts of all the leaders and others of the Southwest, because you've been so restrained. You've been so calm. You've managed the situation in a very skillful way. Had it not been for your restraint, this country would have burnt out long ago. I urge you to continue to be restrained. But I will tell you this. There is a tide that is rising. Not just in the Southeast, but also in the Southwest. It is also rising in the Middle Belt. It is an irresistible tide. The tide of nationalism. The tide of people saying that enough is enough. The tide of people saying that I have a right to live. I have a right to espouse my Christian values. I have a right to be who and what I am. I have a right to be a Southerner and be proud of it. I have a right to be a Middle Belt and be proud of it. I have a right to be a Christian and be proud of it. I don't have to accept your worldview. I don't have to accept domination. I don't have to accept integration in the name of political correctness. If you come to my yard and you kill my people and you burn my home and you attempt to eradicate my faith, I do not have a duty to welcome you and pray for you and say I will accept that in the name of one Nigeria. You don't have the right to tell me that. And I will acknowledge 3 sons of the East, nay, 3 sons of Nigeria that have stood up against this tyranny over the years in different ways and in different measure. I acknowledge Zik of Africa. Zik told Ahmadu Bello when the tensions were very high in the early 60s, he said, let us forget our differences. Ahmadu Bello said something which is very instructive in response. He said, no, let us understand our differences. That's a very weighty statement to make. I'm saying let's forget our differences, like so many people say today. Let's forget our differences. Doesn't matter what has happened to us. Doesn't matter what they did. Doesn't matter. We have no honor, no shame, no nothing. They can kill us, they can rape us, they can do anything. We'll accept it. Let's forget our differences. And he said it at a time when that was not happening, well before the Civil War. Okay? The man said, no, let us understand our differences. And what he meant by that was this. Look, listen, my worldview is different to yours. My worldview is not what you think. My worldview is that Arewa for the Northerners and the rest for the Northerners. My worldview, and he said it to the BBC, I have it on YouTube right now. He said, we would rather employ foreigners into the Northern Civil Service than employ Igbos. Because whenever you put an Igbo anywhere, they want to take everything and keep it for themselves. He said it openly. That is his worldview. And he was telling him, listen, we disagree, we are different. If you're not prepared for me to be the dominant one, the one that is going to rule over you and take everything from you and dominate you and destroy you and kill you and do all these other things to you, if you're not going to accept that, then we have no deal. That's the narrative of what he said. And that's what we are facing today. Now, let me say, I said 3 sons of the East. The first was Chief Nnamdi Azikiwe, the great Zik, Zik of Africa, who, like I said, tried his best. Let us put aside our differences. That statement says it all. He tried his best. The next person was the great Dim Chukwuemeka Ojukwu, who not only spoke, but he acted when he needed to act. And he stood when he needed to stand. In the face of genocide, in the face of mass murder, in the face of ethnic cleansing, he stood for his people. No matter what happened in the war, the Southeast fought a good fight. And a true soldier will tell another soldier, regardless of which side they fought on, that I honor the fact that you stood for something and that you fought like a man for a principle. And he did that. He's a great son of this part of the country. He's a great son of Nigeria. Finally, I will acknowledge somebody that I will never deny, regardless of whatever situation he's in, regardless of whatever he's going through, regardless of what they subject him, his mother, his father, his household, even his dog to, I will never deny him. My friend and my brother. And his name is Nnamdi Azikiwe. I tell you this, in order for us to have peace in this country, I urge you, I implore you, I beg you in the name of God, leaders of the Southeast, I beg you people in the Southeast, let us try our very best to talk to them at the center to be fair and equitable. If you can achieve that, the rising tide will be stemmed. If you do not achieve that, I speak to you by the power of prophecy today, and I do not wish Nigeria ill. Never. I've benefited too much for 3-4 generations. My family have benefited from Nigeria. We love Nigeria. But I'll tell you this, if this does not stop, I see a very grim future for this country. I see a situation where people like myself will be swept aside, and they'll say, you've been talking for too long. No more talking. No more talking. It's time for those of us that are ready to stand and fight for our rights to stand up and fight for our rights. And I fear that day. I pray that day never comes, because war is evil. War is something we should never contemplate. President Koroma can testify to that. We do not want war in this country. To preserve the peace, to preserve the hope, to preserve our future as one nation, let there be changes at the national level. Let Buhari stop this. Let those that are with him stop this, and let them recognize the fact that each and every one of us, regardless of where we come from, whether Christian, Muslim, whether northerner, southerner, whatever we are, that we are equals before God, and that we have a right to exist, and we have a right to be. Thank you very much.
Which way